I must have been around 17 when I first went to my first Runaways concert, and I was like blown away. And I started crushing on Joan Jett. And then I saw him again at CSUN, the college. They played a concert there. And then I would go see their concerts. And then it was during a noontime concert at the Whiskey. It was a punk concert that I turned around and there was Joan walking in the door. And I walked up to her. I don't usually do that. And I asked her, "Are you who I think you are?" And she said, looked at me smiling, "Who do you think I am?" I said, "Joan Jett." She goes, "That's me." And then I asked her for a hug and she said, "Sure." She gave me a hug and I said, "Thank you." And then she said, "No, thank you." And then walked away. And I was like, oh my God. And so then I made friends with her photographer, Donna. And and she one day said, "Oh, I got to stop at a friend's house." And so we stopped, and it happened to be Joan Jett's house. And I was like, "Oh my God." And so then one thing happened after another. I hung out with Joan and Donna. We went to roller derby games to see the T-Birds. We went to the T-Birds practice banked track. It was a roller rink, I think in Montebello or something. And so we went there, and then Joan dared me to go on the banked track. So I'm like, okay. And so I went on, and I fell, and I saw stars. And then a T-bird came up to me, carried me off, and put me on a bench, and brought me ice. And my wrist was like this, and it was getting all swollen. And so then after that, we stopped at Astro Burger on the way home, and I was trying to eat this taco with the my wrists all messed up, and Joan was laughing her ass off. She thought it was the funniest thing. Turned out I broke my wrist and ended up with a cast. And then went to Joan's house, and a few days later with the cast on, showed it to her, and she goes, "Oh, you want me to sign it?" I said, "Yeah." And so she signed it. "We'll get those T-Birds next time, Joan." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And, I just hung out at her house a lot. And then all these weirdos, all these like people started hanging out at her house, and she was in love with a woman who was kind of on hardcore drugs. And then Joan started drinking a lot, doing drugs, and the woman actually had a boyfriend. Her dealer was kind of her boyfriend, and it was a hard time for her. And I kind of saw her like sliding and going down, whatever. And so one day it was a punk rock concert on Vine. It was some temporary punk club. And so um she was just so messed up. She could hardly walk. It was hard to see. It was sad. And then her friend who she came with said, "Hey, can you go take her to my car and just sit with her?" And so I'm like, "Oh, now I'm Joan's babysitter." So that's fine. I don't care. I had to try and get her to the car, and I put my arm around her, trying to lead her out, but she was cussing at me and stuff. So took her out to the car, sat her down in the front seat, and I sat in the back. I just tried to keep her awake and talking to her. She's just mumbling stuff. And then the guy finally comes out, and then I go in my car, and I'm like crying on my way home because I'm like, I hate seeing her like this. And so that was it. I didn't really hang out anymore with her or go to her house, and stopped seeing Donna. So um, I have to say that I think it's awesome. I doubt that she'll even remember me because of all the drugs and the alcohol and all the array of people that used to hang out at her house. I'm sure that she probably wouldn't remember me. I don't know, but um, the good thing is that her manager ended up taking her out of LA and to New York, which basically saved her life. Now she's a superstar and in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I kind of feel like a proud mother in a way. Does that make sense? That she's come so far from being so low. And I couldn't be more happier for her. And that's my Joan Jett story.